Fire and Silver, written by Wes Valor, narrated by Walrath. Prologue. The Raven Forest stretched out like a vibrant tapestry of autumn. Sugar maples, oaks, elms, beeches, and poplars rose like stately columns, their branches ablaze in yellow, scarlet, and copper. Towering overhead, the trees formed a natural archway above the worn path, their colorful leaves flanking the road like an honor guard. Night Delilah breathed in the crisp air, embracing the change of season. Sunlight filtered through the canopy, casting dappled patterns across the path. Every so often, she stole glances at Prince Malcolm, the memory of their passionate encounter still shimmering between them. As they walked side by side, she smoothed her coat and adjusted her skirt, both bearing faint traces of their shared intimacy. When Malcolm paused to fasten his belt, Delilah moved ahead with effortless grace, her hips swaying. A knowing smile curved her lips as she caught him sneaking a glance. He quickly caught up, adjusting his beret over neatly cropped hair. Both wore black, high-collared uniforms and sturdy boots, their steps falling into a steady rhythm. Delilah admired his handsome profile, but her smile slowly faded. A flicker of frustration surfaced. She longed for the day their love could be celebrated openly, no longer confined to stolen moments and secrecy. "You know what, Malcolm? I'm tired of all this secrecy," Delilah snapped, her voice tight with frustration. "These rules are unfair. Why should we have to hide what we are?" "Delilah, it's not that simple," Malcolm said quietly. "I'm a prince. When I last spoke with my mother, she made it clear marriage is part of my duty to House Aaronwood." "That's easy for you to say," she shot back, eyes flashing. "I'm the one left in the shadows while you play the perfect son. I'm sick of hiding, Malcolm. We could leave it all behind, forget the Onyx Kingdom and everything that comes with it." "And go where?" Malcolm's voice sharpened. "This isn't just about us, Delilah." He paused, then added more softly, "Besides, I've been talking with my brother. Technically, he's next in line, but he's willing to step aside. He even said I'd make a better king." Malcolm offered a fleeting grin, a wistful light in his eyes. "I wasn't born with magic like he was, but if I become king, I could finally have some real influence." "So, power is all that matters to you? What about me?" Delilah's brow furrowed. "Are you ready to end things now that you've had your fun?" Malcolm scratched his chin, clearly torn. "I get why you're upset," he said. "But my mother would never approve of me courting a human. She's all about tradition." "It's not fair," Delilah muttered bitterly. "She looks down on me just because I'm a human." He pulled her into a quick hug, but she recoiled just as fast. "We both know my hands are tied," he said, frustration thick in his voice. "She's the High Queen. She expects me to marry an elf of noble blood." Delilah's jaw clenched. "What? Does your elf blood make you think you're better than me, too?" "You know that's not it," Malcolm snapped, forehead tightening. He kicked a stone down the path. A sharp crack echoed in the stillness. "And it's not just her. The Onyx Knights forbid romance between comrades. If they find out, we're both finished." His voice dropped, heavy with regret. Maybe ending this is the only way." They walked on in silence, leaves crunching underfoot. Delilah threw up her hands in frustration while Malcolm stayed stoic, gaze fixed straight ahead. The minutes dragged. Half an hour, maybe more, until the sun climbed higher, signaling midday. "So that's it then? We're finished?" Delilah glanced at him out of the corner of her eye. "He can't be over me that quickly." Driven by her love for Malcolm, Delilah considered reaching for his hand, but hesitated, afraid he might pull away. She looked away, lost in memories of their affair which had begun a year ago. Back then, Malcolm had been warmer, effortlessly charming her with a few well-placed words. His tall, muscular frame had been everything she found attractive. Though only 18, he carried himself like an old soul, his quiet maturity grounding their whirlwind connection. They shared the same rich brown complexion, but in almost every other way, they were opposites. Above her, the honking of geese broke the silence. She looked up, grateful for the distraction. The flock soared in formation, migrating toward the southern kingdoms of Ruby and Emerald. A passing thought struck her. She was glad to be stationed in Onyx. Wearing a black uniform in that southern heat must be unbearable. Malcolm tapped her shoulder. "Delilah, listen, She cut him off, swiftly covering his mouth with her palm. A dark shape darted through the trees. "You saw that, right?" she whispered. He nodded beneath her hand. They listened. A twig snapped. Malcolm's hand jumped to his gun. An eerie fog crept in, swirling low around their boots. Delilah drew her own weapon, falling into formation at his back. "Shields up!" Malcolm barked. With a click, the wrist devices flared to life, expanding into circular metal shields. Low, guttural growls rolled from the mist. The stench of decay hit them hard, and Delilah wrinkled her nose as glowing red eyes emerged from the fog, only 3 meters away. "There are 6 of them, maybe 7, Malcolm warned. "Stay alert." Not waiting for the creatures to strike, Delilah fired into the haze. One pair of red eyes vanished, as if the creature had staggered, but there was no shriek, no sign of pain. "Got one of them, I think." As the fog thinned, the monsters emerged, tall, humanoid figures nearly 6 feet high. Sonjas. Their skin was a sickly ash gray, stretched tight over emaciated muscles and jutting bones. Their sunken eyes gleamed crimson, and their mouths overflowed with jagged teeth, perfectly designed to strip flesh from bone. One lunged at Malcolm. He raised his shield, catching the swipe of its dagger-like claws, then shot it in the knee. As the beast staggered, Delilah unloaded a burst of bullets into its head. It collapsed in a heap of shattered bone and gore. Watching it fall, she tightened her grip on her gun, a rush of confidence rising in her chest. Malcolm's voice broke through the ringing in her ears. "Nice kill." "Congratulate me later," Delilah muttered, refusing to lose focus. Another Sonja lunged at her. She fired a burst of bullets and braced herself as its broken body slammed into her shield. One by one, the beasts fell, until the ground was soaked in their blood. Suddenly, she caught a blur from the corner of her eye. "Watch out!" she shouted. A Sonja tackled Malcolm from the side, knocking his gun from his hand and driving him to the ground. Delilah reloaded just as another beast charged her. She dove into a roll, dodging its swipe, but it kept its distance, evading her shots. "Stay still, damn it!" she hissed, heart pounding. Malcolm wrestled beneath the weight of the Sonja pinning him. Its jaws, unnaturally wide, snapped at his head. He raised his shield just in time. Its fangs clamped onto the metal with a sickening crunch. Delilah steadied her aim. One clean shot, then another. The creature dropped, a hole between its eyes. Turning, she spotted Malcolm still grappling with a second Sonja. She sprinted forward and kicked his gun toward him. He caught it, aimed, and pulled the trigger. Bang! A gush of dark, purplish blood sprayed across his face. He shoved the lifeless body aside and rose. The final Sonja lunged. Malcolm squared his stance and opened fire. His bullets tore through it in a brutal volley, dropping the last of the monsters in seconds. Delilah swept her eyes across the clearing. Nothing. The mist lingered, unnatural, restless. Then, a coarse whisper slithered into her ears. "Nothing will save you." A dry, rasping cackle echoed through the fog. A thin figure stepped into view, leaning on a staff. A crimson hood veiled her face, except for her eyes, glowing like twin embers in the dark. "A good friend is hard to find," the woman said, her voice thick with sarcasm. "You two are adorable. Pathetic and annoying to hear, but adorable young love nonetheless." She lowered her hood and glared at Malcolm. Her amber eyes blazed like slow-burning embers. "Enough!" she shouted, revealing toothless gums as her lips peeled back in fury. Delilah's brow furrowed. Something felt off. "Who are you?" she asked. That's when she saw it. A silvery brooch pinned to the old woman's cloak. A dragon breathing fire, curled into an S shape. The sigil of House Rosefire. Bloodshed and dark magic. Malcolm's eyes widened. "It can't be," he whispered. "That symbol and those eyes. I've seen them before. Amber eyes that burn like fire. Rosefire. Zabel Rosefire. That's impossible." Zabel Rosefire was an infamous sorceress who once conquered the Eden continent with the aid of dark magic, the corrupted form of the light. "Only the strong survive," the old woman rasped, her skin sagging like melted wax. "How perceptive of you, boy. But you're mistaken," she cackled, eyes gleaming. "Oh, yes, I know who you are. Prince Aaronwood, isn't it? Since my return, I've read all about you in the papers. Funny, I thought you had silver eyes." "No, witch. That's my brother, Victor." "Oh, then I suppose he's the only one to worry about, if the reports are true. But I'll be ready for him." "You're sure about that? What's the holdup?" Malcolm said, smirking. "Tell you what, wait here. I'll introduce you to him. He's kind of like a garbage man. Loves cleaning up the trash that rolls into town." "Trash!" she hissed. "Your arrogance will be your downfall. But I am anything but trash. And I am not Zabel. She was my mother. I'm Zinnia, you foolish knight." "Her daughter?" Malcolm muttered, a smirk tugging at his lips. "Zinnia Rosefire? The coward who fled? The old stories say you abandoned your mother. No loyalty, only betrayal." Zinnia's eyes flared. "History books lie more often than not." "You have no authority here," Malcolm replied, pointing his gun at her. "You weren't invited to Onyx, so leave or die." Zinnia let out a hoarse, mocking laugh. The trees rustled with the sound, but the knights didn't flinch. "You elven royals," she sneered. "All bark, no bite." Her eyes flickered over Malcolm's uniform and rifle. "I'll admit, watching you take down those beasts was impressive for someone without magic." "You sent those monsters," Delilah snapped. "They were already nesting nearby. I just gave them a little nudge, Stirred the pot with some fog. Had to see what I was dealing with. Her gaze sharpened on Malcolm. As I mentioned, I thought you were your stronger brother. Now, what was that about your ancestors? Only that they killed your evil bitch of a mother, with Azrael's help, Malcolm said coldly. Zinnia rolled her eyes. Typical. You elves never get the story right. It was Azrael who did the heavy lifting. He ambushed me from behind. I didn't have a choice. I had to retreat. Who's Azrael? Delilah asked. Malcolm started to answer, but Zinnia cut him off. A powerful wizard, she said. The elves begged him to stop my mother, and he did. Meanwhile, your house hid in the shadows, waiting for the fight to end. And I'm the coward? Malcolm clenched his jaw. The land you're so obsessed with? It was never yours, or hers. He stepped forward, eyes hard. And as for who the real coward is, history's already decided. Zinnia's voice cracked like a whip. The kingdoms will worship House Rosefire again. Not if we kill you first, Delilah said coldly, raising her gun. Ah, so the quiet one barks, Zinnia laughed, pointing at her. Your prince must be proud, so loyal, so fierce. But it won't matter. Even your weapons can't stop what's coming. We will reclaim what's rightfully ours. You don't scare us, witch, Delilah snapped. Zinnia's grin sharpened. No? Then I'll just have to fix that. The witch raised her staff. Crimson and orange flames erupted, coiling around it until they solidified into a blazing sword. The blade shimmered with emerald light. She's using a sword? Delilah scoffed, finger tightening on the trigger. I'm ending this. She fired. Bullets tore through the air, but Zinnia deflected them with a blur of motion, her sword ringing as metal clashed against projectiles. Despite her age, her speed was unnerving. What's wrong, hound? Zinnia taunted. Lost your bark? Delilah grunted, reloaded, and fired again, but the witch vanished, leaving only a translucent afterimage behind. Delilah's eyes widened. Where is she? Zinnia reappeared beside Malcolm, disarming him in a flash. She pressed his own gun to his temple, sneering at the weapon. This is the tool you use to destroy my family? She said with disdain. So small, so pathetic. On your knees. I said on your knees. Delilah's aim faltered, but she didn't lower her weapon. Toss your gun, Zinnia snapped. Do it, or he dies. Don't listen to her, Malcolm shouted. Silence! Zinnia struck him across the head with the gun. He staggered, dazed, then collapsed to his knees, an act of submission that burned Delilah to witness. Tears welled in her eyes, but she gritted her teeth and threw her weapon to the ground. Zinnia smirked. Good girl. She pulled the trigger. Click. Nothing. The magazine was empty. Zinnia's eyes narrowed. What? Malcolm lunged, but the witch backhanded him with unnatural force, sending him flying 15 feet down the road. Delilah dove for her discarded gun, fingers scraping against dirt and gravel. She grabbed it, swung it up, and fired. The shots cracked through the air. Zinnia blurred, dodging effortlessly. Suddenly, Hasanja burst from the underbrush with a guttural snarl, leaves and dirt spraying in its wake. It tackled Malcolm with bone-crunching force, driving its claws deep into his chest. His screams pierced the air, raw, agonized. Delilah's heart seized. She raised her weapon, But Zania stepped between her and the monster, deflecting every shot with her flaming sword. Malcolm clawed at the earth, desperate, but the Sonja dragged him deeper into the woods, leaving a thick trail of blood behind. Delilah stared in horror, her stomach twisting with guilt. She had failed, not just as a soldier, but as someone who swore to protect him. "Malcolm!" Delilah shouted hoarsely. But it was too late. The creature had vanished into the woods, leaving only swaying vegetation and Malcolm's fading screams. Chest heaving, she turned just in time to see Zania advancing, emerald blade glinting in the dappled light. Desperately, Delilah raised her pistol and fired. Gunshots cracked through the forest, echoing like thunder. But with a casual flick of her wrist, the witch deflected each bullet, sending them shrieking into the trees. Delilah's hands trembled as Zania drew closer, a cold smile curling her lips. The emerald blade slashed down in a green arc. Searing pain shot through Delilah's body as her hand was severed cleanly at the wrist. Time slowed. She stared in mute horror at her hand lying twisted in the grass, fingers still locked around the pistol. Blood spurted from the stump. The tang of iron flooded her mouth. Nausea rose in her throat. Her vision dimmed. With a cry torn from her gut, Delilah collapsed to the forest floor, crimson soaking the soil beneath her. Zania loomed over her like a vulture, watching with morbid delight as each breath came weaker than the last. She ran her long, eel-like tongue along the sword's bloody edge, then spat. "You and the prince have lain together," Zania sneered. "Your soul's useless to me. I need virgins. Only their purity can restore my youth." Delilah crawled backward, dragging herself through dirt and blood. Her handless arm throbbed with agony, and every breath came ragged. "Move. Just keep moving." "Normally I spare humans," Zania said casually, "but your sacrifice serves a higher purpose. A soul is a story, a memoir I can unravel at my leisure." Delilah tried to rise, but Zania seized her by the throat. Her emerald blade shimmered, then vanished into thin air. No, not like this." Bony fingers tightened around her neck. In the witch's now free hand, a fiery pentagram began to glow, pulsing like molten light. Zania inhaled deeply, nosing Delilah's hair with a hiss. "I won't grow younger," she whispered, "but your lovely face will serve me well. I'll slip into your skin like armor, and the knights won't even see the blade." Delilah struggled in her grip, vision swimming. "She's going to wear me, become me." Zania smiled, eyes burning with anticipation. "Let's see what secrets your spirit holds. I'll unravel them, thread by silken thread." Her toothless grin stretched wide. Then, contact. Her blazing palms slammed against Delilah's forehead. Pain exploded through her skull. Red tendrils of smoke uncoiled from her skin, winding around her like spectral vines. Is this what dying feels like? Though Zania couldn't regain her youth, Delilah was no virgin. The ritual still drained her. Her limbs went cold. Her heartbeat faltered. It felt like her very being was unraveling. Delilah could feel it, her essence slipping away as if death itself had opened its jaws. With a final shove, Zania flung her aside. "Your soul is mine," she said, triumphant. A brittle cracking filled the air as Delilah's blood and spirit surged into the witch, twisting her body into a perfect copy. Nearly unconscious, Delilah watched in horror as Zennia's form reshaped into her own. The last thing she heard was the witch's cruel, echoing laughter before darkness claimed her. Zennia stood victorious over the fallen knight, her eyes gleaming as silence settled around her. Then they came, Delilah's memories. Zennia's eyes widened. It had been centuries since she last walked the streets of the Onyx Kingdom, but now she saw through Delilah's eyes. Beyond the palace walls, the shrill scream of factory whistles echoed. Coal-fed towers belched gray smoke into the sky. Horse-drawn carriages raced through gaslit streets, their wheels rattling over cobblestones. Delilah had grown up here, among humans and half-elves in the Western District's crowded sprawl. Grimy pubs sat on every corner. Prostitutes lingered on sidewalks and in shadowed alleys, searching for coin. The air reeked of sweat, dung, and despair. If hopelessness had a scent, this was it. But nearer to the Onyx Palace, the chaos thinned. No improvised shelters or crumbling tenements cluttered the streets. Instead, the grand architecture gleamed behind manicured hedges. Filigreed lions adorned the iron gates, symbols of wealth and status, separating the capital's elite from its rot. Then, just as suddenly, Zennia's consciousness snapped back to the forest. She sniffed the air. Wet dog. The scent was strong and unmistakable, tearing her from Delilah's stolen past. Fog rolled in once more, curling low across the ground, as two figures emerged from the mist. Towering at 7 feet, the werewolves stood upright like men, their hulking, black-furred bodies bristling with power. Claws tipped their long arms, and rows of gleaming, dagger-like teeth lined their jaws. They growled, low, guttural, upper lips curling to reveal their hunger. Drawn by the scent of blood, the beasts stalked forward, but halted at her signal. "My loyal servants," she said, her voice smooth and commanding. "You've been patient long enough. I will bring your goddess back, my mother." She paused, eyes gleaming. "But first, leave no trace of the girl." She turned and walked away, the sound of flesh tearing echoing behind her, bones cracking beneath teeth. Zennia strode toward the capital, each step ringing with purpose. She had slumbered for centuries, but she was done resting. This new world had forgotten to fear the dark. She would remind them.